Alright, quick update on DogelonMars. So to start with, since yesterday's video, I have drawn this new fib in from low to high. So, this wasn't in my previous videos, I have just added this in. But what I have found is very interesting. Just drawing this, like a couple of minutes ago, I've noticed that we've got a 618 Fibonacci region, which we've perfectly backtested round about 897. Now, if we zoom out to the macro market perspective as well, you can see we've got our fib from the low to the high up here. And you can also see we've got another 618 literally right around the exact same region at, 904, but, basically 9. So I've got this big orange box as well that I've recently just added. This is a double fib, a double golden pocket, double 618, whatever you want to call it. They're all the same thing. I like to call it the double golden pocket, I guess. But nonetheless, we've come back into this double golden pocket and, we've had a very strong bounce. So, the analysis that I'm going to give today is a very mix between both bullish and bearish, because on a technical perspective, we've bounced very, very nicely on the daily EMA ribbons, and we've bounced very nicely on the 618 Fibonacci. And if Bitcoin was bullish, I would be extremely bullish on Elon right now, and I'd be saying this is perfect. We've backtested the double golden pocket. We've backtested this this big green support box. We've come down. We've perfectly retested these EMA ribbons. I mean, we've retested. Which one is the third one down? We've retested the 30 EMA and we've pushed up. We didn't even come down to the long-term moving average down here around about 885. Yesterday it was at 880. We obviously, this is a daily moving average. It's going to move up, basically every day. But nonetheless, I would be saying this is extremely bullish if we were just looking at DogelonMars by itself, but what I like to do in my channel is a little bit different to everyone else. I like to cover, what's going on in the total crypto market cap as well. I like to look at what's going on in Bitcoin, the stock market, specifically for Elon. I don't think we need to jump into the dollar and the stock market, but nonetheless, if we look at what's going on in Bitcoin, what's happening right now is we're having a huge bearish engulfing candle on the 4 hourly. I previously highlighted that the 4 hourly EMA ribbons have flipped short and we are heading down very, very strongly. Now, I outlined in my video yesterday for Bitcoin the macro perspective that I do think there's a possibility that we could be having a quick flush out of the weak hands down here at 40,000. I also said that I do think Bitcoin is going to be bottoming at some point soon. So in my opinion, I think it's, insanity to try and short Bitcoin, when we're all the way down here. I think the time to short was on this failed retest of the 200-day. In hindsight, that would have been a good short. But I was of the opinion that we might be flipping this. So, at least I was wrong in that perspective. I have no shame in saying that. But nonetheless, what I'm looking at right now is the 4 hours not really good. I mean, the 4 hour for Bitcoin, and once again, we'll get into Elon in just a second, but what's happening in Bitcoin is really going to be affecting what happens in Dogelon, which is, why I want to show you what's happening in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is having a huge breakdown of a bear flag right now. We've broken strongly out the bottom, and where does the price target come down to? 40,000. This is what we've been talking about. This is the lowest level that I see Bitcoin getting flushed out to. Momentum is picking up on the downside on Bitcoin, and if we look at what's going on the daily squeeze mom, it's starting to head down. So tying that all together, you might be thinking, what does that have to do with DogelonMars? Bitcoin is losing momentum. Bitcoin's starting to head down. It's just lost the EMA ribbons, and this is why, in my opinion, I think that Dogelon is going to start to head down. So looking at the Dogelon chart by itself, it looks healthy. We've backtested the double 618. We've backtested the EMA ribbons, but I'm not convinced that these are going to hold. I do think there is a possibility of us coming all the way down to these 786 Fibonacci's at the 790 before Dogelon and Bitcoin has a big reversal. So I honestly would be thinking that we could potentially be setting up for a 14% drop to the downside. That is backed up with what's going on in Bitcoin. That is backed up with what's going on in the 4 hourly time frame. We're we're really emming out right now. Like we've got these emming kind of patterns. I mean, obviously the inverse of that would be, you know, us making W patterns. We're doing the opposite of that. We're really emming out and starting to head down. And while by no means this is a perfect M here, because this high is higher than this one, that's not really a perfect M. But nonetheless, these M kind of wave patterns are not good. We've back tested the 4 hourly EMA ribbons. We've fired a short, and now we are pretty much coming down to take out the lows, in my opinion. So look, from a technical perspective, as long as 885 never breaks, then we would be bullish for Dogelon. But I think we would kind of be foolish to not, you know, take a warning signal from what's going on in Bitcoin right now. You can see Bitcoin is, you know, I mean, it's lost the daily EMA ribbons, and these are going to start turning down on themselves now. Once again, I think Bitcoin is going to have a quick flush out to the 40,000. I think that is very likely now. But nonetheless, I'm not going to be shorting this, because I'm not the biggest fan of shorting Bitcoin, and I'm not going to be shorting when I do believe the bottom is near. So nonetheless, Bitcoin does not look the greatest right now. I think this is going to have an effect on Dogelon. I think Dogelon is due for one quick flush out to the downside before we do go on a parabolic run, because, you know, I've been saying I do think Dogelon is going to, you know, initiate a face tear this year. So let's quickly look at what we've done before, because I want to see if we've backtested 786s before, or if it's something that Dogelon doesn't really do. So from here to here, I mean, we lost the 618, but we didn't come all the way down to the 786. I mean, I could draw it from here, but, you know, I would be cherry picking the data at that point. I think the uptrend macro started here, and you can see we didn't really come down to the 786. So it's really a 50-50 mix of both, but nonetheless, I obviously, you know, the past doesn't have to, you know, do the exact same thing. It doesn't have to mirror itself, but it probably will rhyme. So I do think it's likely we could be coming down to the 786. Personally, I think I'd be looking to accumulate a tiny bit more Dogelon at that point, on the condition that Bitcoin's come down to 40,000, backtested it, and start to move up. That would be what I'd be looking for. That would be a higher low in this, you know, higher low, higher high trajectory that we've got in the short term for Bitcoin. But nonetheless, keep an eye on these levels, like I said, from a technical perspective, as long as we don't break below... let me find it again. Where did this green box come from? These are the EMA ribbons on the daily. Yeah, I think they're the daily EMA ribbons. That's why I can't find it. We're on the 4 hourly. So yeah, here we go. From a technical perspective, as long as we don't break below 885, we are still bullish. But in my opinion, my gut feeling is that we would be having a 13 to 14% flush out in the short term down to the 786. Once again, I could be wrong, because, you know, looking at Dogelon by itself, we've had a perfect backtest of the bull flag, perfect backtest of this double fib, perfect backtest of the EMA ribbons, and, you know, we came down to these lower EMA ribbons, and now we're backtesting the short-term moving average on the top of these EMA ribbons. So, like I said, it's really a mix of 50-50 between these. If we were just looking at Dogelon, I'd say we're extremely bullish, but looking at what's going on in Bitcoin, you know, I have to kind of point out that there's a red flag going on right now, and momentum is really starting to pick up to the downside on Bitcoin. Like, I think, you know, you can see, I don't think we were this low when I started recording this video. I think we are really starting to press down. I think this has been about, you know, maybe 5 minutes or so, this video. And I mean, we haven't come down an obscene amount, but, you know, you can see we're breaking through these lows now. We're really heading down, so I am going to be slightly cautious. I'm not going to be touching DogelonMars until we do at least have a strong push up from these 618s, but I would really be looking to play from a position of strength down here at the 786. So that's all I see for Elon. Best of luck if you're in it. Best of luck if you're trying to get in. Once again, none of this is financial advice, just my opinion on the market, and you've always got to do what's best for you. Cowboy out. Peace.